pick up the bike because I wanted to walk a little bit. It's not so often that you get sunshine, even in summer in Netherlands. Hello, one viewer. So, the crazy world we live in. I'm gonna try to keep this really short, in a sense that the description of this stream and the video later has several links to the videos that are pretty much mind-boggling to watch. It takes some time, but it's really good to watch, especially the one from Dr. Hoffman that speaks about the reality and what the reality even is. That one for me was extremely good to watch, even though it might be quite hard to understand, because it's a lot of mathematics, neuroscience and all of that stuff, and it's long. But it's a very good talk show. Tom Bilyeu really leads the whole talk show in a way that it makes it much better for you to understand, even though it's complicated. But my part in all of this, my 2 cents to what you may or may not watch later, is about suppressed science, suppressed technologies, the way governments operate, military complex, financial structures. So all in all, from top to bottom, our society. And then how all of that basically reflects into the manifestation of the reality itself as well. As a child, I liked to read a lot of books. And a lot of books, I mean, that most children at that age wouldn't want to read, or even if they did, they wouldn't really understand them for the most part. And I'm not trying to brag, but I read books like Encyclopedia for the Children at the age of 5, because I read fluently very early. And then I was reading stuff about science, sci-fi novels, technology, then also things a little bit weird like about aliens and UFOs. So now that we have internet, those subjects are way more spread out and expanded and interesting, because even then, although there were books and everything, it was in the science department, but it was all written more or less to make you believe that this is not so real, or, you know, at the end of the day, my point is, so 42 years that I'm old, my own awakening, so to speak, started with a very weird kind of premonition of something big will happen, everyone in the world's going to know it, and it will ultimately change the way we live. That happened in around year 2000, and I could not really explain to the friends who actually saw me clipping, or how could I say, because my body was shaking, I was feeling really weird, to say the least. And it was a mix of sensations, emotions. Even some parts were actually visual, like an insight into the far future. Well, the far future is actually now, or started to happen in 2020. So to me, it did not come as a surprise, but it was still a shock. So that day when this happened, that's a nice spot I can sit. When this happened, I was basically in a squat with about 10 other friends of mine. They were chatting, having fun, having some drinks, and I was preparing for a German test, so I definitely didn't drink. I did not indulge into any substance abuse or anything like that. Well, mainly, obviously, weed. I was not much of a substance abuser in terms of other things. Testing only and then see what's nice and what's not. But wanted to say that basically I was really sober and nothing weird was going on. No sessions or anything like that. So whatever hit me out of the blue all of the sudden. Back then we didn't have internet, I didn't watch much of the TV, especially not the news broadcast channels. I always liked to watch documentaries. So let's say Discovery Channel, National Geographic, and some of the sports were the things I would watch, not so often. Nowadays I don't watch anything other than maybe occasionally some series. So what I'm trying to say is like there was nothing to be able to influence my mind to that level that I would, let's say, just subconsciously build up an image of something, even though way before 2001, kind of started already in 1998 and then continued to progress more and more in the news was stuff about anti-terrorism, war and things like that. So you could see, just like these days, whenever they're trying to set up a new goal and a new agenda, they're gonna start to talk about it months, maybe a year ahead of it. I hope that the sound is good because it's really windy. The viewers who are here, can you confirm how is it with the sound, please? Is it noisy? And where, if I turn somewhere, what's better? Because the wind's picking up a lot. So yeah, okay. I hope it's gonna be working while I wait for anyone to confirm. So the point, as I was, let's say, rather uninformed, sober and all of these things, and then at that point, let's say, how much on the, if you would call it on the conspiracy theory level from 1 to 10, how deep into the rabbit hole I was, it was probably on a level of 1.5. To me, the biggest level of evil and stuff that was going on was clearly the industrial complex and the banking lodges and stuff. So I understood that banking, politicians, and then corporate is already something that is working kind of like against each other on the surface, but the politicians come from the corporate industry, or at least the rich families and all of this stuff. So it was clear that there's a lot of injustice and a lot of things that are completely wrong with the system, or that the system is actually perfect in itself, but it's not designed for the people. It's still designed to keep the same old powers in power, but hidden behind the illusion of choice. So personally, I don't really believe in the power of voting, democracy, and all of these things. Can somebody confirm, is the sound really okay? Because this is, I'm actually annoyed by the wind, to be honest. So, yeah, I didn't really believe in a lot of things that quite few people would be saying even back then. Whether it was about the pharmaceutical industry and the vaccination agenda, whether it's about even other more darker conspiracies about the entertainment industry and the Hollywood and the highest levels of echelons in the society. So I don't want to go too much into the detail because that could probably immediately start triggering the bots. And speaking of bots, Well, we'll go to that a little bit next. So this is how for me it started. As a child, I already understood that, working 9 to 5 till you drop dead, something isn't right. Then people pitting themselves against each other on the basis of religion, skin color, all of that stuff made no bloody sense. You gotta know that when I was 7, the war in Yugoslavia, which is what my country used to be, was a federation of 6 nations called Yugoslavia, and then the war broke out. Lucky for my people in my country and myself, our war was really short, 10 days, not many casualties, and at that time still Yugoslavian army proceeded to continue the whole charade and the whole parade on Croatia, Bosnia, and so forth. So yeah, there was a huge massacre later on. Bosnians got it the worst, and there was a lot of really, really bad stuff going on, from human trafficking to weapons dealing, drug trafficking. So basically the whole region was just turned upside down from what was once a really beautiful place to live to now stuff that you are surprised how does it still function, because basically the rich got richer, the poor are a lot poorer, there's barely any middle class left, and at the end of the day all the infrastructure and everything that once used to belong to people altogether, and I'm not talking that this needs to be socialistic, but it did still work out better in that sense because people had the benefit together. If you look at the German business systems, this business system, that's how it goes. So basically all the employees are shareholders in the company by law. So they get to actually vote what's going to happen with the companies, and most of them are very sustainable because of that. So there are certain things that definitely function with the socialist economy. So that's one. And finally a bit less windy spot, I hope. So the I kind of lost my train of thought. I gotta apologize because it's not easy to stay focused while looking for a spot where you hope the audio is gonna be better. It's all right. I'm gonna try to recover my thoughts in the meantime. Overall, the monetary, political, and media and all of these structures, when it comes to big tech, big media or mainstream media, when it comes to the corporate industry, the military complex, the pharmaceutical industry, not my lucky day with this. All right, I hope it's gonna work. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to redo it later. So now I've got connection issues. So everything pretty much. When you look at companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, everything that revolves around the hardware and the infrastructure for the telecommunications and IT. And I'm speaking, this is regarding all over the world, whether it's made in Europe, made in USA, or made in China. All of that stuff was first and foremost developed by the military complex and funded by the military complex. If you look at Google, they got most of the money from organizations like CIA, and they got their success from having the Google Earth. So they bought an old satellite from the army, and they got all the software from the CIA for peanuts, basically for free. One of the first investors, large investor to Facebook, private investor, was clearly CIA, because once it went public, it was all clear. And then the two companies that are the mystery in itself are the BlackRock and the Vanguard. So both of them are the two largest shareholders of each other. Nobody knows who are the private shareholders. You can probably try to guess, but they have at least 5%, up to 10 or more, in literally everything you use, you touch, and you've ever heard of. All the products, services, anything you can imagine. There is barely, unless there's like a completely independent business, creator, artist, whatever's going on, everyone else is under their watchful eye. A lot of weird things that are happening in the world, like certain things were labeled as conspiracy theories in the past. And then now when you look at the declassified documents, when you look at the analysis of those past conspiracy theories, and you can see how much of that is proven to be actually true. Now, to what extent, how far, I would say a lot of conspiracy theories prove to be true, but it's really hard to see how far they've gone and what they've done and the research and the experiments and all of those things. Why? Because whatever we do get to know and is declassified is still heavily redacted, or documents are lost, incomplete, so forth. When it comes to the videos in the description, you will see that when it for certain technologies, certain science, certain research, things that could really advance humanity and society as a whole, were always kept secret, suppressed, and people who invented those things, people who wanted to help humanity, all mysteriously disappeared. And these are facts. This is not something that's taken out of nowhere, stories made up. Everything is well documented. Everything has historical documentation to back it up. All the background. This is not something that requires too much effort and extreme amount of knowledge to actually research yourself, as a lot of people say. The sad part about all of this is that everything is out in the open. When it comes to certain people manipulating the way the society works, divides itself, and hates itself amongst each other, is always carefully and meticulously planned in advance. And it's through the media, it's through the technology, and it's through the means of also psychological operations. And it's very simple now, given when you watch the last of the videos in the description, and then you figure out that reality in itself is literally just what we create and what we imagine, then the rest of you who have gone watching through this video and being patient with me, my technical issues and the windiness, this is where I want to leave my message onto this. There's definitely a lot of influence by the very dark and twisted powers in this world. Whatever the world it is, whatever the reality it is, given that everything is based on frequency, energy, vibration, the matter itself is not real. We are real though. Whether we exist as just a small piece of software in a giant artificial intelligence computer somewhere, or if we exist as an agent of consciousness, which is born to learn the experience, go back to the source with that information, and go out again, grown, reborn with new knowledge, new experience, and new wisdom. I don't know what is there and what is not. Is it Jesus? Is it someone else? Something else? Is it aliens? But the fact is, intuitively, many of us know that apart from the creation itself, which we're always connected with, or the Creator, we are also immensely powerful, each individual, together, synchronized, like meditating, singing, dancing, or just saying, no, I've got enough of your negative influence. I and we are doing what is best and good for us. You don't get to tell me how I feel, you don't get to tell me how I think, and you don't get to tell me what I do. We all have free will. Thing is, one thing I never really liked is the notion of religion and the neuroscience where they lose a track. While we are programmed, while our minds are being enslaved, while our reality is being shifted and bent in front of our eyes in order to keep us enslaved, that doesn't have to be that way, and it's not that way. But it really has to be your own choice, and that's the free will. Only you allow and give anyone and any power consent to do something for you. And now whether you believe that's for the good or the bad, that's totally up to you. I'm not judging, I'm not trying to suppress anyone's beliefs. But then again, there are videos in the description, really watch them. I strongly recommend because they're down to earth, they're really fun to watch as well. And please believe me, if you want anything to change in this world, it's got to start with you and within you first. Because we are magicians, all of us, and beyond. But they don't want to share that with us. And they don't want to share all the discoveries they've made a long time ago. And the mystics, and the philosophers, and the spiritual leaders, and also the scientists, and people who have dived deep into the meditation and practices like that. There's so much more to us than just the body, the life, the death, and things like that. We're immense, we're powerful. Now it's time to wake up. That's all I can say about it. The rest is your homework. Love you all, and I hope the video was okay, the sound was okay. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching, your comments. Thank you. Thank you, Horus. And yeah, first of all, if you want to find the truth, start questioning your own beliefs, but don't question yourself. You are already who you are. You are perfect. Love you all.